The very first morning in my dream home, before I even opened a single moving box, a woman stormed into my yard, grabbed the deed copy I'd been proudly showing neighbors, and ripped it to shreds. Then she screamed, "You've got 90 days to comply with HOA rules or get out." Problem was, my house isn't even in an HOA. Act 1. The nightmare begins. My name's Mike Rogers. Atlanta suburbs picture perfect. My wife Jennifer humming in the kitchen, our kids Emma and Noah tearing around the backyard like wild little animals. White picket fence, sun shining, birds chirping. You know, peak American dream vibes. Then that dream screeched to a halt, literally. A blinding white Escalade tore into my driveway like it was an ambulance responding to an emergency. Out steps this woman, Laura Stone, though I didn't know her name yet. Navy blazer, helmet, hair sprayed stiff enough to survive a hurricane, fake jewelry flashing like warning lights. She plastered on a smile and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood." But before I could even reply, her voice flipped like a broken robot. "You have 90 days to comply with HOA regulations or you must leave." I blinked, confused. Then she snatched the deed copy out of my hands and shredded it like confetti right in front of half a dozen neighbors. Little pieces fluttered across my lawn while my kids froze on the porch. And here's the kicker. The neighbors nodded along like she actually had authority. My stomach dropped. I called 911 furious and told the dispatcher this woman was harassing my family and destroying property. But the operator asked, "Sir, is there a physical threat?" When I said no, she sighed and said it was a civil matter. An officer might swing by in 2 hours to file a report. 2 hours. By the time a cop finally showed, Laura had paraded around the block telling anyone who'd listen that I was a violator, a rule breaker, a threat to the community. The officer just shrugged. "Civil matter, sir? You can file a small claim for the photocopy." The photocopy. That was the least of my problems. That night my kids asked the questions no parent wants to hear. "Daddy, why was that lady so angry? Are we in trouble?" And I had no answer other than to hug them tight and promise this was our home no matter what. But deep down I wasn't so sure. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. Days later things got worse. I walked outside to find our pool, my wife's one must-have when we bought the place, cloudy chemical smell burning my nose. Someone had dumped concrete and the skimmers overloaded the water with chlorine. $800 to fix, gone. My kids stood there in swimsuits asking why they couldn't swim. My chest ached. And guess who I saw smirking from the sidewalk? Laura Stone. She didn't stop there. Next, she sent a so-called inspector in a polo shirt badge clipped to his belt, clipboard in hand. He claimed my pool chemicals were contaminating groundwater and threatened county intervention. His jargon sounded official, but as an engineer, I knew it was garbage. I called the real health department, and they confirmed it. He wasn't one of theirs. Impersonating an official, that's a federal crime. But neighbors didn't know that. They just saw a guy with a badge and Laura nodding beside him. And suddenly people who used to wave at me across the street avoided eye contact. Then came the community meeting. 40 neighbors in folding chairs. Laura up front with a PowerPoint and laser pointer presenting charts and statistics about how my family was tanking their property values. She was smooth, too smooth. Manipulative, persuasive feeding on suburban fear. Jennifer whispered, "She's using propaganda tactics, false stats, emotional triggers. This isn't just crazy, this is professional." And I'll admit it, my confidence cracked. That night, sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by the torn scraps of our deed, I asked myself, what if she's right? What if we missed something in the paperwork? What if we're the ones in the wrong? For the first time I wanted to quit. Just pack up, sell, leave. Anything to get my kids away from this insanity. But then something shifted. David, my next-door neighbor, a quiet guy I'd barely talked to, slipped me a note. "We need to talk." Turns out David's a retired detective, and a year earlier, Laura had done the same thing to him. Same 90-day deadline, same fake notices, same smear campaign. He lost his house. Hearing that sent fire through my veins. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a pattern. Jennifer, bless her reporter instincts, dug deeper. She pulled public records, bankruptcy filings, debts, failed businesses. Laura wasn't some powerful HOA leader. She was drowning in debt, clawing for survival, and she saw my family as her way out. The real turning point. When attorney Angela Foster walked into a neighborhood safety meeting. Heels clicking on the linoleum, folder in hand, she declared, "I represent the Rogers family. Let's talk about document fraud and criminal impersonation." And for the first time, Laura's perfect smirk faltered. Act 3. Showdown. Angela exposed everything, side-by-side comparisons of Laura's fake notices against real county documents. Wrong fonts, fake seals, bogus addresses that traced back to random garages. Neighbors gasped, murmured, shifting in their seats. Laura panicked, lunged for Angela's evidence, tripped on the projector cord, and her laptop crashed to the floor. The screen lit up, exposing a folder labeled Rogers Harassment Plan Phase 2. The entire room gasped. No denying it now. From there, the walls closed in fast. Jennifer recorded Laura bragging at the grocery store about pushing 12 other families out like it was some twisted community service. David turned over an old voice recorder with Laura describing her scheme in detail. Angela filed criminal complaints. Suddenly, this wasn't just neighborhood drama, it was organized crime. When the trial began, Laura, whose real name turned out to be Linda Brooks, sat in court, disheveled, cheap suit piles of messy papers. Gone was the polished HOA queen. What stood there was a desperate fraud. Witness after witness testified. My wife, sharp and steady, explaining how Laura manipulated statistics. David, the retired detective, outlining the intimidation tactics. Families from other states describing identical harassment campaigns. Then the county investigator presented evidence of forged documents and fake seals across multiple communities. That's when Laura snapped. She jumped up, pointed at the witness stand, and screamed, "Those are real! Marcus promised this would work." She hurled papers at the judge, ranting about conspiracies. Bailiffs had to drag her out while she kicked and screamed. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts, harassment, fraud, conspiracy. Restitution ordered, probation assigned, restraining order enforced. Laura Stone, or should I say Linda Brooks, was finished. Closing punch. She'd spent months trying to convince everyone that my family didn't belong, that we'd be happier somewhere else. Turns out the only one leaving was her. Closing line. Lesson. Evil hides behind fake authority, but once you rip off the mask, it crumbles fast.